Hello learners, welcome back to the course on Psychological Assessment in Applied Settings. We are covering Module 4 and this is the third lecture in this module, that is on the topic Concept of Validity. So validity, the word refers to truth or fidelity. So you must have used this word in everyday language as well, where you often say that a news is valid or invalid, or if somebody has told you something, you might remark that, oh, what you said is absolutely valid. What do you mean by that? You mean is that what the person has said is actually true to what has actually happened. So if you say that something is valid, it means that that thing is what is the truth, and that is exactly what validity also refers to in reference to measurement and testing. So in terms of psychological testing, validity refers to the extent to which a test measures what it claims to measure. So whatever the test claims to measure, if it is an intelligence test, then it is claiming to measure intelligence. If it is a personality test, it is claiming to measure different aspects of personality. So whatever it is claiming to measure, how well is it actually measuring what the thing is in truth? So whatever the person's intelligence is, how accurately is the test measuring that? That is what is meant by validity of a psychological test. As we have seen in the previous modules, validity along with reliability is one of the fundamental principles of a psychological test. So for a test to be called a good or a sound psychological measurement device, it needs to possess both reliability and validity. Now let us look at some definitions of validity given by researchers. So anesthesia has defined validity as what the test measures and how well it does so. So again, what anesthesia has implied is that validity is the quality of a test of how well it is measuring what it is claiming to measure or what it intends to measure. So whatever the test's purpose or objective is, if the test is actually able to measure that accurately, we can say that it is a valid test. Lindquist has given a much more comprehensive definition of validity. It says that validity of a test is the accuracy with which the test measures what it intends to measure and the degree to which it approaches infallibility in measuring what it purports to measure. So again, what Lindquist has implied is that validity is the quality of a test to measure what it intends to measure with accuracy and without any flaws or any errors. So that is what validity means. Another definition by Kaplan and Saccozo says that validity is the agreement between the test score and the quantity that it measures. So what is the true score of the individual and how close to that is the test score that is given by the test. That will determine the validity of a test. Now you might think that we even covered this precision of the test in reliability. So how is reliability different from validity? So reliability, if you remember, is the consistency of test scores. So whether the test can produce scores that remain consistent either over time or across different examiners or under different circumstances, while validity refers to the quality of the test to be able to measure what it is claiming to measure. So if the test is not valid, it is very unlikely that it will be reliable. If an intelligence test is not measuring intelligence, it is measuring something else, or it is being affected by other attributes as well, then it is very unlikely that it will produce consistent results, because people who are taking that test may not differ on intelligence. but they may differ on the other attributes that the test is being affected by, and thus because of the low validity, the low reliability will also be there. That is why both reliability and validity are important qualities of any test. Now, just like reliability, validity is also statistically determined whenever a test is designed or developed, and the indicator of validity is the validity coefficient. So, the correlation coefficient computed between the test score and the ideal measure is known as the validity coefficient. So, you take the score of the test that one has developed and you correlate that with the score on an ideal measure, and that yields the validity coefficient. Now, what is an ideal measure? So, an ideal measure is anything that measures the attribute accurately. So, if you are making a test to measure intelligence, then another test or any other indicator of intelligence would be an ideal measure. But you need to ensure that this other measure that you are validating the test against needs to be accurate in itself. It can't be an invalid or unreliable measure, and if you are validating against that, then the validity that you will get or the validity coefficient that you will get will not be trustworthy either. So, when we are talking about validity coefficient or statistical methods of determining validity, then a single statistic cannot summarize the validity of a test, and that is why mostly if you open the manuals of well-published tests, you will find that they have ascertained the validity of that test through various means, because it is very difficult to determine the validity of a test based on just one statistical procedure. That is why several studies are required that examine the relationship between the test performance and independently observed behaviors. So, it is very important to take various evidences into account to ascertain the validity of a test. So, now we look at some properties of validity. So, there are three important properties of validity. So, the first property of validity refers to validity being a relative term. So, a test is not valid in general. It is valid only for specific purpose. So, it is not that if you find that a test has a high validity coefficient, you will say that this is a valid test. But what that means is that it is valid for measuring what it is claiming to measure. So, if it is an intelligence test, it is only valid for measuring intelligence. If the test user uses that test to measure, let's say, achievement or depression level, of course, it is not going to be valid. So, the test is only valid for the purpose that it has been validated for. And this is very important to understand, because one needs to understand the context in which the test has been validated. So, even when we talk about intelligence or personality, these traits have very many different ways of manifesting themselves, and it is very important for the test maker to highlight in their manual under which context have they validated their test, and only for that context will the test be a valid measure. If a test has been validated for a specific purpose, it has no value for measurement of other purposes, right? It cannot be used for any other purpose and said that, oh, just because it has been validated, so it can be used for any purpose. The test which is valid should be used only for the purpose in the context in which it has been validated. The measurement instrument is not itself valid. The purpose for which it is used is valid. So even if you talk about physical measurement, a weighing machine is only valid to measure weight. It is not valid to measure height or temperature or anything else. If a person is using it to measure anything else, then they cannot be sure if the outcome that they are getting would be accurate or not. The next property refers to validity is not a fixed property. So validation is a continuous process. It is not a one-time event. It is not that if you have validated the test once, you are saying that this test will be valid for eternity. That is not how things work. Anastasi has claimed that test validity is a living thing. It is not dead or embalmed when it is released. So just because a test was released 20 years back doesn't mean it is valid today. It needs to be revalidated again and again in order to ensure that the test's validity remains alive or remains relevant. Why is this so? This happens because of emergence of new concepts and meanings. The test content may lose its relevance. Let's take an example of it. Now, there is an effect called the Flynn effect, which we talk about in terms of intelligence. What the Flynn effect claims is that with every next generation, the level of average intelligence goes a little higher. That is, in the previous generation, people of average intelligence, or what was considered the norm, the average, what usually people, the amount of intelligence that usually people had, was lower than what the amount of intelligence that on an average people have in the next generation, right? So this is called Flynn effect. Now a test that was developed to measure intelligence for the previous generation would no longer be valid for the next generation, because the norms that it has, it would consider a much lower score as average intelligence. However, now with the increase in intelligence due to Flynn effect, the average intelligence score should be much higher. So this test needs to be revalidated. Also, the content of the test, that is the items. Now, 50 years back, people would have known what is happening around them much more clearly, and even an average person or a lay person would have known everything that is happening around them, maybe who's the prime minister at that point. However, if today in 2015 you ask somebody who was the prime minister of India in 1970, it might be difficult for that person to, for any person to answer, because this is not something relevant to today's general knowledge. So that is why this item might not be valid any longer to measure general knowledge or intelligence or any such related factors. That is why the test needs to be revised if there is a significant change in the attribute that is being measured, and if not, it at least needs to be revalidated over and over again to re-establish its relevance for the present scenario. Next, we look at the property of validity being a matter of degree. So validity is not an all or none thing. It cannot be described as a test cannot be described as perfectly valid or completely invalid. So it's not a black and white thing that if a test is valid, it is absolutely valid, or if it is not valid, then it is absolutely invalid. That is not how these properties work. These properties like both reliability and validity. It is a matter of degree. There is no perfect validity coefficient, and especially when we talk about psychological tests, it is very very difficult for a test to get perfect validity, because for a test to get perfect validity, it would have to produce the exact score for every individual as is being produced by the ideal measure or the other criterion against which it is being validated. That is very unlikely, because every a different measure would have some sort of discrepancy from the test that is being validated. So as long as a test has a high validity coefficient or an acceptable validity coefficient, it would be considered a sound test or a valid test. But it cannot be said that a test is perfectly valid or perfectly invalid. To expect such a thing from especially a psychological test would be a fallacy. Validity is best seen as something that falls on a continuum from from minimum validity to very high validity, and tests can fall anywhere in between. And again, for different attributes and with different types of methods of validation, different validity coefficients would be considered acceptable or good. It is not that for every validity coefficient or for every test, a validity coefficient of 0.7 or above would be expected and would only be acceptable if it is that high. For some conditions or for some attributes, depending on the measure that it is being validated against, or depending on the method of validation, the acceptable validity coefficient would differ. So we will in the next lecture look at what are the different methods of validation, and that will help you understand this point better. With that, I hope you have understood the concept of validity and its properties, and now we shall cover this topic in much more detail in the next lecture. Thank you so much.